We're live.
Is it recording?
Yeah. We have to talk about what we did today. I would say no profanity, but one of the highlights of our days today was some serious profanity. We got on the Q train.
Oh, set the scene. Where are we?
Where are we?
We're in New York.
Yes. We're giving you a live dispatch from New York City. Max and I are here because he wanted to see a play in Yiddish. So that was the impetus, and then of course we build on that. It's about 11:30 at night, and we're eating some delicious street falafel, and I'm preparing some late night noodles to eat as well. But, okay, should we just go chronologically? Because today was crazy.
I think so.
Okay. We have like a Yiddish or a Jewish bucket list, right?
Yeah.
So, the camera's wobbling so much.
Oh no. We'll be right back.
So.
Should we start over?
No. Bucket list.
Jewish bucket list.
Bathhouse.
Bathhouse. Russian and Turkish baths.
Which means a series of very hot rooms. And I got to go with. It was a co-ed weekend. They're co-ed on weekends and then separate during the week. This
is a classic Greenwich Village Jewish establishment.
It's been open since what, the 80s?
By 80s you mean 1880s?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's owned by two people, Boris and David. They do not get along. Boris is very old school Russian and apparently uses kind of a private club for him and his Russian friends, so they're very rude on their week. Yeah,
it's like a clubhouse for them, so if newbies show up, they're like, hey. They're probably more like, hey.
Hey. David, probably David, is trying to reach the hipster audience.
And I think he's pretty successful because I was nervous about going to a place like this. I don't know why. It's just sort of out of my comfort zone, which is another reason why we both did this. But once I got in there, everybody looked like they were my age.
They looked like
and, you know, it was... my nervousness lasted a second, and then it was nothing.
This is an old Jewish tradition called a Schvitz. The place is called a Schvitz bad, which literally means sweat bath. You go, you sit, you sweat. This was Jewish gangsters used to go here. In fact, the attendants reportedly were deaf and dumb so that they couldn't repeat anything they heard in there.
We are not a fan of that phrase.
I think it's just the phrase for being deaf and not being able to speak, but that's what they were looking for. So there are 4 or 5 different steam baths.
Let's recap. We went in the first one.
It's like one of those...
Which was just dry.
Yeah, one of those Scandinavian style wooden...
It's lined with cedar.
Very dry heat.
And then the second one we went in was very wet, and it was aromatherapy, which had sort of eucalyptus-y menthol thing.
Yep.
But it wasn't overpowering.
Although when all of a sudden, we were there for about 5 minutes and all of a sudden it started making a gas noise and it filled with steam.
We were just floating in a cloud in there.
Yeah. Visibility had been reduced to 0, as we say in Minnesota.
Every now and then it'd just be like plunk, plunk.
It got very hot. Next room was the Turkish bath, which was very, very hot.
Hot and wet.
And there was the Russian bath, which is, it's solid rock. They superheat the rocks overnight, and then they just radiate heat all day. It is an inferno.
And there's 2 guys who work in that room where you get, what do they call it?
Platza.
Platza massage.
Oak leaves. They cover you with soap, beat you with the oak leaves and branches. And these guys are in there all day, so they are dumping cold water on themselves. They're beating up people.
It was more like rubbing them down.
Yeah.
We wanted to see them get
We wanted to see vigorous massage.
Maybe you can request how vigorous a massage you want.
You can.
But it's kind of eerie because all of these rooms are lit just enough so that you don't sit on somebody who's already in there. Very, very dim rooms. So it's nice, it's relaxing, and
these rooms are
but in that room where the massage was happening, it was eerie because there's just these guys in there and they have cool towels on their heads and then just these little trunks on. So it's just it's like they're executioners or something. They're these anonymous people who work in this crazy room in this very little light, and it's very, very hot. It was.
And they don't speak English. They give their commands to people in Russian.
It was
They're
surreal.
extremely muscular. There's also a very cold
at the
water
end,
bath. It's ice cold.
It's. And you know, by the time you're done going through all these rooms, an ice cold bath seems really refreshing.
It's refreshing and agonizing.
But it's, oh my God, it was icy. I wanted to dunk my whole body in, but I just couldn't do it. A couple people did, but it was tough.
Yeah.
It was good, but it was tough.
And they also have a restaurant.
The restaurant, I mean, the whole place has this very, maybe, is ramshackle the right word? It's
rustic.
Rustic. It's like a warming house at an ice skating rink or something.
It's a little rundown.
Yeah, but that's okay. Whoever is making the food at this bathhouse.
It's a very mean Russian man. I went up and I was like, could I order? And he's like, what is number? I said, what? And he said, number.
Oh, everything on the menu is numbered.
No, you have numbers on your keys, and that's how they know what to charge you.
Oh, yeah, you have to put everything in a locker.
He was on his phone the entire time, so I couldn't tell if he was talking to me or talking on the phone.
Oh my God.
Except I'd look up and he'd be glaring at me and be like, oh, I guess he wants something from me. So I'd order the food and be like, number.
We ordered pierogies.
Venikis or something like that.
And they were just filled with potato.
Yeah, and they were delicious. And we had red borscht, which is a beet. Borscht is usually a cold beet soup. This was warm, or hot actually. Beets, onions, carrots. It was very hearty, very tasty.
It was so good. I mopped it all up. And then I started thinking, is everything tasting good because our nasal passages are so clear and we're so depleted of nutrients?
Excuse me.
Speaking of clearing nasal passages. But everything we had to eat all day was so good, and I can't help but think, is it because of the bath? Whoa!
So after that we went to the Jewish Museum, which is nice. It's uptown. It sounds like you'd go in and there'd be menorahs and
Holocaust images.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. It's actually contemporary art.
Really great exhibits going
by
on.
Jewish people. There was I don't know the name of him, but he designed really beautiful furniture. Very sort of mid-20th century, modernist, but with a very classic look.
Like a deco tinge.
Yeah, and the display of it was incredible.
Right.
Because they'd have the furniture set out, and then there'd be like a white sheet behind
Yeah, you
it.
would come in and you see the furniture, and then you go around the back and there's a projected shadow show of somebody using the furniture.
It was like a ghost was sitting down in chairs
and
writing stuff and getting up and cleaning stuff.
It's adorable.
Really nice.
Yeah.
And there was also an exhibit there called Bear Mitzvah in Meshuggah. This was literally just teddy bears dressed as Jews, parachuting from the ceiling.
I imagine it's akin to having had mushrooms.
Yeah,
maybe?
it was psychedelic.
Wow. The children who were at the exhibit were, it was overload.
They were astonished and terrified. I think we all were astonished and terrified.
Verified. God.
Then we met our friend Nora for lunch. And we went to a place called the 2nd Avenue Deli, which used to be downtown on 2nd Avenue. a tragedy occurred, and so it's moved uptown since then. And it is a very old school delicatessen. And I picked this because there are a couple of items on the menu that I've never had. In Minnesota, this is not a deli option, or in Minnesota we call them Dells. It's not a Del option there. And so I'm desperate to try them. I'm a vegetarian, but I will make exceptions for novel meats. And the two foods we had were called kishkas, which means organs. And for some reason, Jews were grossed out by that, so they decided to rename it when they came to America, and they call it stuffed derma.
How is that better?
It's worse. It's a million times worse. And they're basically huge, soft hot dogs in almost intangible casings. And they're made of...
I detected no casing.
They're made of organ meat combined with like matzo meal and spiced, and then there's a gravy. And they basically are just...
It looked like a big sweet potato.
Yeah.
That's the color, that was the texture, but it wasn't sweet, it was more savory. The gravy was really good.
It's just...
I mean, it went well together, but it was a new...
It's like a wet umami.
It was, yeah.
And that's all it is. That's all you get out of it.
And it was like a gummy potato. A gummy sweet potato. Texture-wise.
I would have a gummy sweet potato. We also had something called... what is it called? We're going to have to pause for a second while we look at them. We also had something called gribbinus, which are just chicken skin, deep fried, breaded and deep fried.
Griminous.
Yeah, griminous.
Oh, I thought you were saying ribbinous.
No, griminous. Griminous.
Because you know how
like
I remember.
grimace.
Yeah, from McDonald's.
So they are chicken skin, breaded and deep fried, and served with onion, because that's how Jews do. It's not enough just to have... If you've ever had Kentucky Fried Chicken, at the bottom there's just little bits of breaded chicken, and you're like, if I could only have this with onion, that's what it is. That's what you're eating.
Delicious.
Yeah, they were fantastic. We didn't eat any of it though. We each had a couple of bites.
And when you order stuff at this deli, they bring out
a mountain.
Deli pickles and a coleslaw.
A mountain of food. When we got in there,
very good.
There were two people getting up from the table, and one of them got up and it was just like, oh, he goes, that sandwich wasn't kidding. It's like looks at his wife, he's like, that was a serious sandwich, wasn't it? You can see him like staggering to the floor, just like, whoa, too much. They bring all these pickles and
really good
side food.
Deli
and
pickles.
I always, when I go to a deli, I always have it with something that you used to only be able to get in New York. Dr. Brown. Dr.
Brown's.
Now you may have had his root beer, you might have had his cream soda. He also makes something called celery, and it's a celery flavored soda. And it tastes exactly like celery, which sounds crazy.
I did a tasting video of it, so I'll try to remember to link to it, but it's
when
crazy.
You have it with deli food, it's phenomenal.
Totally different experience, because when I first tasted it, I just had it by itself. With deli food, it's a completely different experience.
So then we went to the play.
Well, hold on.
Okay, on the way to the play.
On the way to the play, our friend Nora had to get on the same subway as we did, so we all walked down to the queue, and we...
You can confirm this experience with Nora.
Yes.
Who also had it.
I should have taken the camera out to record it, but we were just... So we get on the subway, and the doors close, and the subway goes, and then an announcement will come on saying what the next stop is and things like that. But something sounded kind of odd in this announcement, and it was vulgar.
Yeah.
But we had been talking, so none of us commented on it, and then a second later the message repeated, and we all stopped and went, and I was like, did it just say this? And then we looked around the rest of the subway car and everybody was laughing. We were on a hacked subway.
Yeah.
Somebody had hacked the message component, and they were saying...
The first message was, will someone suck my train dick? And then a few seconds later, it comes on and says, everybody suck my train dick. And this is in that robot voice.
Everybody.
We sit down next to a guy and we're like, well, that didn't sound usual. And he says, last stop it said, I'm sick of all you humans and I'm crashing this train into the next train I see.
Not as funny.
And it got progressively mean.
Unfortunately, it got really kind of creepy and not funny.
It was a mean racist train by the time we got off of it. But that opening salvo.
Yeah. Send it back to that 13-year-old who got control of the keyboard for a second, because that was funny. That was a spectacular train ride.
It was spectacular. We actually switched food over the course of this from street falafel.
Yeah. And we had a wardrobe change.
Oh, that's true. We were having street falafel. This is fresh pasta from a place called Raffetto's in Lower Manhattan. They have like a Victorian era machine that they cut pasta with.
I've been wanting to do this for years. I've been coming to New York every year for years and years. When I discovered this place, well, I didn't discover it. A Twitter friend, Trish,
hi, Trish,
mentioned this. She reminded me of the name of it years ago, but usually when I come, I'm always staying in a hotel, so I can't cook anything. This year, we're staying in his dad's apartment, and I immediately thought, oh my gosh, I can cook Raffetto's pasta. We got egg noodles, we got...
black squid ink. Tasted a little fishy.
I mean, I know that sounds obvious, but it was just a little too fishy for me. It was fun to try.
We just had...
This is black pepper, and it's so good.
And tomorrow we're having spinach.
Spinach. And then I just got their marinara sauce.
Their marinara sauce.
Their basic model sauce, and it's delicious.
Yiddish, mechayedik.
That's what the Q train said. What were we talking about?
We were talking about the Yiddish plate.
Okay, let's talk about the Yiddish plate.